Hi everyone, it's Rochelle. It's Thursday. I'm wearing a hat, so it must be time for Hat Chat. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you watching Hat Chat to learn about my friend and soon to be your friend, Shannon Samulski for SIS for Teachers. Now, Shannon is all over the country all the time teaching teachers just like yourself. So you're going to want to stay tuned because we are talking about building community in your classroom this month. So she's going to give us some ideas. And don't forget to share this broadcast. We really appreciate it when you share the broadcast either live or if you're watching on the replay, because there's a lot of teachers out there that want to know how to build community in their classroom. So please share this broadcast. All right, let's bring her in. Here she is. Hi, Shannon.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. We're so glad to see you. Look at how cute you look in your hat. Can you tell us about it?
Well, I'm in Michigan where it's always cold and we don't really get snow very early. For whatever reason, we really went from like hot weather to just freezing cold weather, and it is literally snowing like 3 inches today. We barely got the deck furniture off of the deck in time. And so I have been walking around with this all day. We have space heaters on. I mean, it's just literally freezing. So I thought this would be perfect for the Hat Chat because I'm going to stay nice and warm.
That is so great. Now, you know, Shannon, when you're from Michigan, you got to show us where you're from on your little map hand.
I got my backhand, right? So I live in Canton, which is about 20 minutes outside of Ann Arbor, about 30 minutes outside of Detroit over here. So yeah, that's like easy. You have your map on your hand, right?
That's what we always do when we're from Michigan. I was from Holland, so that's right by, you know, yeah. Lake Michigan. So anyway, on the hand. If you're from Michigan, give us a shout out in the comments because you know what we're talking about. You always have the map on your, oh, but you got to get the Upper Peninsula though too, right? Don't you?
I know, I have a school in the Upper Peninsula and it's like kind of over this way. It's a little bit further. It's in Lance, Michigan, which is really in the middle of nowhere. And they actually love ESGI up there. Actually, when I came up there, they were telling me about it. And a lot of people in Michigan, when we talk about it, I'm like, how do you know about it up here? So yeah.
See, ESGI could be used everywhere, seriously, even in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So we love that. That's so good. Well, we have a lot of people watching today. Our friend Palma's here. Hi, Palma. So glad to see you. Sally's here. Hi, Sally. We're glad to have you here, too. So we just want to talk a little bit about who you are. First, you know how it is in Hat Chat. You got to tell a joke to get in the Hat Chat. So before we find out about you, we got to hear your joke.
Okay, so I thought long and hard about this because I wanted to make it an appropriate joke. So you have to play along, Rochelle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you repeat some words. I want you to say the word silk 3 times.
Silk, silk, silk.
Okay, so now say silk 2 times.
Silk, silk.
Okay, say silk 3 times.
Silk, silk, silk.
What does a cow drink?
Milk.
There you go. They don't drink milk. They drink water.
They don't. Oh my goodness, that's so tricky. That's so tricky.
I was going to make you spell it, but I didn't want to make it too difficult.
Oh, you go longer, so that's part of the joke too. Yeah, see, I play right along.
Yeah, it was very good.
There we go. All right. So I will use that one too. And that reminded me, like silk, I thought, the whole time I was thinking like that silk milk, like, yeah, that's so funny. So in my mind, I already made the connection between silk and milk. So there you go.
No, they produce milk.
Boy, that Shannon, she's pretty tricky, you guys. But Shannon, tell us about you. Tell us, besides living in Michigan, what else do we need to know about you and what are you passionate about?
So I've taught for 15 years in Michigan, and I have a kind of a unique background. I have a special ed degree and a general ed degree, and then I have a reading specialist, but I present 98% of the time now on math. So it's kind of odd. I actually don't have a math major, although I would love to be able to get my master's in it, but I really My talent really is more relating to elementary teachers who are trying to teach today's math, which is much different than how you and I learned. And so from teaching, I was part-time for 4 years, and then I ended up taking a leave of absence, and I'm a full-time international educational consultant and the owner of SISforteachers.org, which stands for Strategic Intervention Solutions. So we primarily work with at-risk schools, and we are in hundreds of schools every day, every year. I've actually been 5 different places. I go to one more place tomorrow, and so I get to be with our schools for 3 or 4 years. And so we do an intensive project where they learn a professional development, and then we go in the classrooms and coach. So today, the teachers in Gibraltar Public Schools were actually learning about model drawings in their previous training, and I got to go into a 2nd and 3rd grade classroom, and we're adopting this strategic model all like 1st through 5th. So we try to make vertical change in schools and get to not just do like a quick one and done. It's really we're with them, and teachers, we know each other a lot. And so we have a lot of other consultants that work for my company. And then I'm also an author. So we have a store, and we have lots of products, and we specialize in math kits that we provide our schools to help them and reach out to all of our schools are mainly more at-risk schools. So we're kind of trying to raise student achievement. And so my passion really is to intricately look at kids. I think we try to teach kids way too many standards too fast, and we kind of man-make at-risk kids. So I kind of bring my special ed and general ed background, and ironically my reading background, to sort of do what we do today, which is, really catching kids before they fall, and using just kind of tricks in the classroom, using concrete pictorial abstract means to help kids to understand really to what they're doing instead of just how to do it and memorize it. We let them, they know how to, like, why they're doing it. And so it's been really fun.
I absolutely love to hear that. I love to hear the ongoing coaching for teachers. Yeah. I have a real passion for that as well. And I really think that, that one and done isn't going to work for anybody. And so especially with math, where you really have to be figuring out and be strategic, as your company name says, and you're really helping them and going back in and helping them again. I think that's so valuable. So thank you for what you're doing. I know you're on the road all the time, right?
Yeah. Lots of fun things.
That is so great. So when you're out in the classroom, you're seeing a lot of community or lack of community in classrooms, right? And so today we're going to talk a little bit about building community in your classroom. And so, pull from your experiences all over the country where you go. What kinds of things do we need to be really focused on with building a community?
Well, I think today kids in the 21st century are very I always say they all suffer from this disease of entitlement, and they all have instant gratification. I mean, they're plugged in all the time. And so with that comes more and more kids who are not necessarily like each other. So there's lots of differences in a classroom. And I think kind of this sort of has like a twofold strategy, but one of them is, we go into a classroom that I was just in yesterday, she has flexible seating, kids are sitting in different places, and it's kind of accepted. If you need to sit in this chair and that's where you can attend, that's great. But I think in classrooms today, it's not, it's ever changing. It's never just the rows. It's not like we're lined up in rows with the kids that we see. It's not just a few kids that aren't, with us or kind of keeping in tune. There's a large majority of them. And so one of the ways that we try to, accept other people's differences in schools is to really make differentiation as a parent in the classroom. But what I do for one student might not need to be the same that I do for another student. So even today when we were modeling doing comparison bars, we were using a concrete tool. Some of the kids learned that concrete tool, but they don't necessarily always need it. But we have something called a math salad bar in the classroom that has all the math tools that are loaded in it. I kind of created the idea where there's 10 drawers on one side and 5 on the other. And so while you're working with something, if you need to go get a counting buddy, you can go up to the salad bar and get it. And so a big part of promoting that independence is knowing that there's something that's just right for you, there's something that's just right for me. And so something that we do in classrooms that I think really helps to kind of build the community at the beginning of the school year, any time during the school year when things aren't really going the way you want them to. The idea is sort of this strategy of taking 5 kids out in the hallway, and these kids are kind of going to act out the scene for the rest of the class. And so we'll go out in the hallway and I'll tell them that you're going to fake an ailment of some sort. So you're going to go out in the hallway and you're going to pretend you can't came back from recess and you bumped your head. Another kid might say that their knee hurts. And so they all come up with something that they're complaining about that kind of is hurting. And so then I line the kids up in the front of the classroom and I say, okay, we're going to talk to some kids that are having problems, you know, from coming back from indoor recess. And so the one kid says, you know, I bumped my head, I hit it on the monkey bars when I was outside, it hurt so bad. And so we kind of have a box of Band-Aids. And so I take the Band-Aid and I tell the child with a lot of empathy, I'm so sorry to hear about you hitting your head. And when we open the Band-Aid up, I always put the Band-Aid on their right hand. And so I walk to that student, I place the Band-Aid on their right hand, and then I go to the next student. I, you know, hurt my knee while I was outside on recess. I'm so sorry to hear that. I put the Band-Aid on the right hand. We go through all 5 children. The kids are confused because they're looking at me like, wait, I thought my head hurts. Why are you putting the Band-Aid on my head? We keep putting the Band-Aid on all 5 children. And at the end, kind of have this community discussion in our classroom about how, you know, we want that culture to look in our classrooms. And so I'll say, does anyone have any, you know, comments about what we just did? And a lot of the kids are confused because they can't figure out, like, why am I doing it on the right hand? And so it kind of brings down the conversation that we want to have within a classroom to help us all be united and understand that we all have different needs. And so the idea is that, you know, if you might need sensory needs, or you might need to go to the salad bar to get a tool, or a child over here might need flexible seating, that we're going to do what's just right for that child. And if I were to put a Band-Aid on every child's body in the same place, it wouldn't necessarily meet the needs of all the teachers, all the students. And I think that's what's really hard for a lot of our teachers in our project, is they're trying to teach math expressions, they're trying to teach Eureka Math, they're trying to teach whatever the book says, when we're trying to say that book was written for this perfect classroom, and we backwards design the lessons in the book to find out that just right area for that objective for teachers to teach it. But for you might need a different, you know, tool that we're still going to keep the same common theme, that we all have different needs. And I think once you set the pace of that in a classroom, even if it is in January when you come back from, you know, the winter break and kind of are re-getting, you know, kids back together, that there's certain things that are just right for certain kids, just so there's a just right book, but all those different things that we have in the classroom is a big part of that. So that's kind of one of the strategies that we use that's really effective with even kids as early as first grade. They can kindergarten, they can kind of start at the second part of the year to understand that concept.
That is brilliant. Yeah. I love that. That is so great. So get a pack of Band-Aids, you guys. Anybody can do that lesson right there that Shannon just talked about. I love that. Go ahead. What else?
Simple go. And then the other one is probably my favorite one, is that we in math, is kind of my world, are looking at the 8 mathematical practices and are wanting kids not to just memorize procedures with concepts we don't understand like you and I did in math. We want them to have real life application. And quite frankly, when the rigor gets going tough with these 21st century kids who are very entitled and are also get instant gratification, it's really hard, you know, when you're teaching them, because there's certain times where you're like, okay, there's a lot of helicopter parents that we work with that we're trying to say, okay, we really need Johnny to be able to come in and do these things on his own, right? And so one of the things that we do is we play for the students a YouTube video that's called Get Off the Escalator. And it's probably one of my favorite things to do. Again, I don't say anything because I want that part in my classroom to really come apart about what's going on. And so in the video, there's a man and a woman kind of in a business building, and they're going up the escalator. And as they're going up the escalator, it completely stops. The guy has a briefcase, the woman's clearly got her bag, she's going to work and she's hustling, and it stops. And they're like, oh no, I don't need this. I'm gonna be late for work. And the lady's, you know, just kind of panicking in the video. And she's like, I need to go. And so they say, she's like, you got a phone? And, you know, the guy's like, no, I don't have a phone. What are we gonna do? So they kind of wait, and then they're screaming, somebody help us. You know, we're stuck on the escalator, help us. And so they wait. And it's funny to watch kids watch it because they're looking at it. And I don't think a lot of our kids really like question their metacognition. Sometimes I don't know if they have metacognition at all sometimes, but they're questioning their metacognition and really thinking about it. And so as the video kind of continues, a worker is working downstairs, like on another thing, and he's coming up the escalator. He's like, don't worry about it, I'm gonna fix it. So he's, going up like he's gonna take care of the problem for these people. Well, his escalator gets stuck and they end up sitting there like all night, like it's getting dark. And so I kind of stopped the video and I say, like I'm wondering what we're thinking, in the community of our classroom about this, and it's funny because some kids are like, why don't they just get off the escalator? I'm just like, oh my gosh, that would be like this amazing idea. And so the point of it is that we have kids in classrooms who are very able to figure out things on their own, but because of the technology world and the instant gratification and the way life is for them, they don't have to do a lot of thinking. So quite frankly, when the going gets tough, it's on you. You're responsible for my learning, but really, in fact, they're responsible for their learning. So it brings apart that culture that, I'm not your mom, and I'm not here to, do all those things. And so many teachers can relate to, I found this staple on the floor, and I just go, get off the escalator. And when I go and I have, I'll have like kids at a guided group table. Just the other day, the kids are sitting in a horseshoe table. The teacher is going to go work on something, and this particular kid is sitting there. There's 5 kids. Now the next group has 6 kids. So he's just standing at the table. I'm like, buddy, are you gonna get started? There's not a chair here. Oh, get off the escalator, or a kid comes up and is like, my pencil's broken. We think about that as teachers, as how much we deal with kids just, randomly, telling us these things, and like, you can figure this out, and so part of the culture in your classroom could really, all I do is I say, let me know how it works out. Or I say, get off the escalator. And the kids know from the video, they're like, oh, yeah, I do it with my own kids at home. And they're like, don't do that. I'm like, no, you really need to figure it out on your own, because they're so used to everything being paid and taken care of. And quite frankly, you want to worry about the small problems now before they get bigger and they're making larger mistakes as they get older.
Oh my goodness. Not only education advice here, you guys, but you get parenting advice too, because I'm telling you what, at home, I'm saying the same kind of things, like, you got to figure that out, because I can't be there all the time, people, to figure out your problems. So I'm so glad to hear that you're saying that as well. And that is building that culture and community in your classroom, you guys. Just start like that. Find that video that Shannon talked about. It's called Get Off the
Yes. Yeah. That's on YouTube.
I think that's so great, and that could work for so many levels, right? Young, old, doesn't matter. So that's so brilliant. Well, before we go, I just wanted to show Shannon's website so that you guys can see what it looks like, how wonderful it is here. SIS for Teachers, which stands for Strategic Intervention Solutions. There's a lot of cool stuff. Do you want to just navigate us around a little bit, Shannon?
There's social media apps. So you have Twitter, you have Facebook. One of the things that we're looking at YouTube videos. Some of the video running from Deco Dots. Videos for Deco Dots. On in that video tutorial, like a big
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I'm kind of breaking up. I think it's my internet. I'm so sorry. Here we go.
Click Deco Dots. Click on that picture.
Here we go.
When those load, we have videos that parents or for you as a teacher to learn how to play the different games. And we shot these videos in some classrooms, and if you scroll down a little bit, there's all the different videos of how you can access those. We're actually working on a video library with Strategic Intervention Solutions to really show a lot of our differentiation, a lot of our strategies in math. So it's a great spot to go. And then I also blog once a week. There's a blog tab there on the left side next to the home button, and that is a place where every week you can tune in, and I blog about, I blog a lot about math, but I have a background in lots of different things, so I still do stuff on ADHD and visual memory and those things that you can click on and check out.
All right, we will definitely check that out right here on the blog. I got it clicked, it's coming up, I promise you. But on your computer, it will work fabulously. Yeah. So just go ahead and check that out, SIS for Teachers. Click on the blog, look for information there. And Shannon, we sure hope we see you around at different conferences. Now, I know you do a lot in schools particular
Yes.
schools, but where are you going to be out in the public where we can come see you sometimes?
Well, I know I'm going to be in San Marcos, Texas, doing the 2nd and 3rd grade conference that I'm looking forward to at the end of January. And then I'll be at the New England conference. I'll be in Vegas again this summer. And otherwise, I'm in lots of places around locally here in Michigan. And we actually run M-Cubed classes that are on our website. Those are called Moldy Math Mindset courses. And we have a fractions one coming up. We have a math workshop coming up. And then we have a big one on the 8 mathematical practices and kind of the inquiry-based learning. And so those are open to anyone that's able to come to Michigan. You're welcome to come, but it's our first kind of hosted conferences that we've done here in Michigan. And they've been packed and they've been really successful. Otherwise, on our website, you can go to the events calendar, and I'm in literally almost a different place every day. A lot of the stuff's local to where I live, but there's other places, right? You know, I was just recently in Nashville. I was in Baton Rouge with SDE, and so I'm around different places. But my calendar where I'll be is located on the homepage.
On the homepage. All right. We will definitely check that out. It has been a delight to spend time with you, Shannon. You've got so many great ideas. Oh, and you guys don't even know, Shannon and I, we both have a connection with essential oils. So if you like essential oils, give us a little shout out in the comments, because that's how we're staying healthy this winter, right, Shannon? We are using essential oils.
Really sick, and I was getting sick at Baton Rouge. I went up to that, you know, some of those fun ladies at the ESGI booth and tried this throat spray, and I'm feeling great. Like it's wonderful. Yeah.
Well, we're glad we can help in a lot of different areas. So, well, thanks, Jen, for spending time with us. We'll catch up with you soon.